the Outdoor Journal.
Today on the Outdoor Journal, join Angelo Viola in America's Riviera, Santa Barbara, California, for a kayak trip through the world's largest sea cave. Then, on our Surviving the Outdoors, join Pete Bowman on the rugged terrain of the Canary Islands for a first-hand look at some life-saving signals. And on Off the Beaten Path, Audrey Hull flies like a bird at 2,000 feet over Ontario, Canada. All this and more coming up on the Outdoor Journal.
Widely known as a playground for the rich and famous, Santa Barbara has one of the highest concentration of wealthy residents anywhere. In fact, one of its suburbs, Montecito, has the distinction of having the highest income per capita in the entire United States. Ronald Reagan, Michael Jackson, Michael Douglas, Julia Child, Jonathan Winters, and Jane Seymour are but a few of its famous locals. Nestled between the majestic Santa Ynez Mountains and the blue Pacific Ocean, America's Riviera, Santa Barbara is a mere 90 miles from one of the most high-profile, fast-paced centers in the world, the sprawling metropolis of Los Angeles, California. But they might as well be a million light years apart. You see, the big difference here is not that Santa Barbara is a lush tropical paradise, nor that it has a unique temperate climate that basks in sunshine dawn to dusk year-round, or is it the fact that it has stunning scenery or outstanding array of attractions? It's that it gives you all of these, minus the crowds. With a resident population of less than 300,000, this world-class resort center has a unique ambience, a captivating blend of colorful history, distinctive architecture, and of course, that legendary California lifestyle. It just doesn't get any better than this, folks. But that's not what we're here for today. You see, Santa Barbara also happens to be a hotbed for outdoor adventure activities like hang gliding, parasailing, scuba diving, mountain climbing, mountain biking, whale watching, not to mention the fact that it has one of the largest sailboat rental fleets worldwide. In fact, one of the most difficult things to do when visiting Santa Barbara is deciding which one of these activities to try. As for me, it's quite easy. I'm going to sea kayak into the very bowels of the world's largest sea cave. But first, this week's Surviving the Outdoors.
Hey folks, I'm in some pretty awesome terrain, as you can see. I thought, what the heck, it's time for a hike today. Maybe I'll take some pictures out here. It's definitely time for some exercise. Whoa, I just about stepped on a little lizard there. You stay away from me, pal. But you know, when you get yourself into a situation like this, away from civilization, away from people, the responsibility aspect is totally on yourself. Now, if you watched the show I did a while back, we were using compasses, the stars, the sun, etc., to get yourself back home. But what would happen if, for instance, you cut your ankle in here and twisted it, or the rock fell out from underneath here, you banged your kneecap on there, and you couldn't walk anywhere? I'll tell you, you'd be hurt big time, and you'd be staying here. So what do you do when you're in that situation? It's a good point to know that whenever rescue teams search for someone, they don't try to spot them directly, but instead they look for some kind of signal. So the first thing you got to do is stay put. Now, preferably in an open area like I got over here, or maybe like the hill I got behind me, somewhere where a rescue team can see you very easily. Next, you got to stay warm. Make sure you put a jacket on, put pants on, depending on the conditions. Stay warm and comfortable. If you have water with you, make sure you're well hydrated. If you have food with you, make sure you're well fed. And next comes the good old distress signal. Now, they come in two forms, either sight or sound, depending on the terrain that you're in. Now, the one that always works, no matter where you are, is smoke. The international distress signal with fire is 3 fires built in a triangle, 50 feet apart. As a matter of fact, when using any signal, the signal of 3s is internationally recognized as the symbol of distress. These fires are visible from miles away and also will provide you with some very welcome warmth and comfort. Now, if I do alert a search plane with fire or smoke, I gotta let them know that I'm in distress and I'm not just out camping and having fun. Best way to do that is with a flashlight. The bigger and stronger, the better. Now, I have to send them a beam of light, and the best way to do that, don't go on and off like this. You'd have to be dead on with your aim. Make sure you go up and down like this or sideways like this. They'll catch that beam and they'll see that from miles away. That's good in the nighttime. What about the daytime? You need a signal to show them in the daytime that you're in distress. Well, there's a series of symbols that you can use on the ground that are actually recognized as distress signals. You can use clothing, sleeping bags, wood, rocks, whatever. For example, an F means you require food and water. The letter I means you have a serious injury and need a doctor. 2 L's mean all as well. 2 capital I's mean you require medical supplies. An X means you're unable to proceed, and a triangle means it's probably safe to land here. And a couple more should more than do it. One there and one there. Now make sure when you're making these symbols, keep them about 8 to 12 feet long and about a foot wide, and try and contrast the color. You can see this, I try to keep the bright side up, darken the ground a little bit by kicking the grass away. It shows up a lot better. Keep a list of these symbols in your backpack so that you know what to put down. This big I, for instance, it means I'm injured and I need a doctor. So that guy way up there, he's gonna know what I need. Another good device when you're out in the field you should always carry is a whistle. 3 loud blasts. That series of 3 means distress. Give it 3 blasts, wait a little bit. In an open area like this is great. The wind takes that forever. 3 again. That could get you out of trouble. That's our listening aspect of it. Another good key. Fluorescent orange is always a good color. It always shows distress. Surveyor's tape. This is non-sticky tape. You can use ribbon or whatever. Make sure it's bright. Find an area. Okay, here's a good area to start right here. Tie it off here. Like this. You won't believe how far this stuff will show up. And I'm gonna try for a triangle. It usually is more of a distress signal, but we just keep going around here like this. Maybe around this guy once. Like this. Like this. I'm almost out of tape. Perfect. Perfect roll of tape. You can see this forever and ever. Check that out. If a plane can't see that in the daytime, he ain't gonna see nothing. Now another extremely effective and quite inexpensive item is a good old mirror. This is a plastic one. I don't like to carry glass mirrors because if they break, they could cut you or whatnot. It's got the fluorescent orange on it again. Remember when you were a kid, you used to flash people with a mirror? Well, that can go up to about 25 miles effectively. It's got to be a clear day like this. It's got to be sunny. Let me show you how it works, how effective this actually can be. Boom, 1, boom, 2, boom, 3. If you can't see that, my friends, you can't see anything. Flares, signal flares, these are made for this situation. They're a little limited. They only last 8 seconds in the air, and you have to have a clear day or night to make them effective. It can't be snowy, it can't be rainy, it can't be foggy, but if you blast one of these babies off, they are effective. I'm not going to shoot it off today because I'm not in distress, actually. I'm just showing you. So what I'm going to do now is find myself a little protection out of this wind and wait. Here's a perfect little resting area. Definitely protected out of that wind. Like I say, you got to find some protection. Remember, when you leave home to go out camping, to go out hiking, you go out whatever in the field, bring along a first aid kit. It'll come in handy just once in that life, it'll come in handy, you'll need it. A compass in case you get lost. A map of the area that you were in. And make sure you tell somebody before you leave exactly where you're going. That'll help a lot. I told somebody before I came today. Also, remember, the whistle for the noise, the sound aspect. The visuals with the mirror, with the light, with the big fluorescent tape, the flares, and especially those symbols. Make sure you know those symbols, write it down, keep it in your backpack, learn them and know them. That way, when you're on this rock, boom, you fall onto that rock, you're hurt big time, you will get help.
Now for your travel tips, here's Passport.
My flight destination was Lanzarote's capital, Arrecife. Visitors from the United States and Canada do not require any special vaccinations or visa to visit the Canary Islands. A valid passport is required. The currency unit is the pesetas. Belonging to Spain, Lanzarote is one of the 7 islands of the Canary Archipelago. Lanzarote is known as the island of 1,000 volcanoes. Its landscape, or moonscape, is very unique, with areas of solid ridges of lava, volcanic cones, and craters of all shapes and sizes, the result of various volcanic eruptions centuries ago.
Coming up, a close encounter with the largest creature in the history of our planet. And then we'll soar 2,000 feet above the Earth.
final leg of today's journey takes us aboard the magnificent 88-foot Condor, which charters out of the Santa Barbara Harbor. The 22-mile trek out to the Channel Islands, where the Painted Cave is, takes you across what is considered one of the world's premier whale watching arenas. It's home to about 25 different species of whales and dolphins, and has the largest pod of gray whales left on the planet. A pod that's believed to be about 25,000 members strong. It's also the highest concentration of blue whales to be found anywhere on the Earth. This is an amazing creature when you think that it's the largest animal in history. It can grow up to 100 feet and weigh over 150 tons. And they say to encounter and come face to face with one of these animals is an experience that'll stay with you forever. Hopefully we'll get to experience that ourselves today. The Channel Islands is an island chain just off of California's southern coast. These 5 individual landmasses comprise what is known as the Channel Island National Park, established in 1980 in order to preserve this unique natural and cultural resource. It didn't take very long before we had our first encounter. These were common dolphin, and as we got closer it seemed that the entire ocean was filled with them, especially when you consider that we were barely out of the harbor. I quickly became acquainted with my shipmates. Most of them had been on this trip before and had a background in marine biology or adventure travel. And then, while I was taking my watch, it happened. The first sign of a spouting whale. What happened from here on in, folks, is really not very clear to me. All I know is that for the next 90 minutes, I was suspended in some sort of animated world of fantasy and illusions. This couldn't be happening to me. It was like dying and going to whale heaven. These were blues, humpbacks, and possible fin whales, all here under my feet. As I learned later, seldom are all of these animals seen together outside of the nutrient-rich Arctic waters where these big animals gather to feed. As I mentioned earlier, these blues are the largest animals to ever inhabit the Earth. Their heart is the size of a Volkswagen, and their tongue is as large as an African elephant, the largest land mammal today. Then, just as quickly as it all started, it was over. What could anybody want for a greater and more exciting experience than that? To come face to face and arm's length from the world's largest creature is hard to beat. But you know, just up ahead on the Channel Islands is the world's largest sea cave, and possibly my most exciting kayaking experience ever. But first, let's have a look at this week's Off the Beaten Path.
When you were a kid, did you have that big bully of a brother that would force you onto the roof of the barn and he'd convince you that if you flapped your arms hard enough you could fly? And of course you did it, and it took you 6 times before you realized he was just pulling your leg. And not only did you get all bruised up, but you broke all the jawbreakers you had in your back pocket. It happened to a friend of mine. But today I'm flying, hang gliding to be exact, and the person who's going to show me the ropes is the guru of hang gliding. He has set world records. He has designed hang gliders. He even flew a hang glider off the Toronto CN Tower. And more recently, you can see him in the box office hit movie, Fly Away Home. The owner and operator of High Perspective Hang Gliding and Paragliding School, Michael Robertson.
Hi, Audrey.
Hi, Michael. How are you?
Great.
So what are we going to do today?
Well, we're going to take this 2-person hang glider, and we're going to tow it up in the air, and we're going to experience the freedom and beauty of bird-like flight.
How high are we going to go?
Well, we'll go somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 feet. Once you get above 500, it's just glass.
Oh, great.
It's a little breezy, but it should be gorgeous.
Okay, so what do we do first?
Well, the first thing we'll do is we'll get suited up, and then we'll go join some of those other guys up in the sky.
Right on. Okay, let's go.
Great.
To help determine if flying is advisable, Michael has developed a chart called the Robertson Chart of Reliability. This chart not only measures the reliability of Mother Nature, but it measures the competence of the person who is about to hang glide as well. The chart has 2 parts, and the first is called the Windividual, where students and experienced flyers are rated on variables such as physical health, psychological and parapsychological state, lifestyle, self-control, discipline, and common sense. The second part of the chart scores such factors as weather and the actual hang gliding site. The points are then added, and depending on the score, it is decided if it is advisable to fly or not to fly.
Come on in here, Audrey, and we'll get you hooked in here.
Okay.
Need to get a little weight on this rascal, or it's going to have to blow away. Pretty windy. So I'm going to hook you into 2 6,000-pound hang loops here.
Okay.
This glider is stressed to 6 G's positive and 4 G's negative.
So it'll hold me.
It'll hold you. It would hold you and a small elephant.
Okay.
And on top of that, we're all suspended here. The glider is controlled by weight shift, so you can let your weight go totally in that harness, you see, and it'll totally support you.
Oh wow, you
and
don't do
all
anything
you
at all.
do to make the glider turn is just move your body from side to side.
Okay.
And I've got a parachute here. In the event that you act up, I'm leaving. No, I'm kidding. This parachute, actually, I'm going to hook to you as well as me, and it's in here, and it would let the whole glider, we don't get out.
Okay.
It lets us and the glider down. It's just another safety backup. Okay, y'all set?
Yep.
First 50 feet is going to go by pretty quickly.
Okay.
Airspace clear. Clear and launch.
Michael just released us from the toad, and if it's a great day, we can hook a thermal draft and stay up indefinitely. I feel completely safe up here. The view is incredible. I'm just going to hang out, relax, and let Michael do his stuff. Well, I guess I have to come down sometime, so here comes the part I've been dreading all day, the landing. Oh man!
Here we are.
That was amazing. I was speechless up there. Like I just wanted to look around and see everything. It was so great.
I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Most people find it like that. It's like a dream.
Great. Thank you so much. It was,
was
so great. Thanks.
Coming up, paddling into the dark reaches of the world's largest recorded sea cave.
Even though the whales were going to be a hard act to follow, what I saw when I reached Santa Cruz Island quickly brought me to new heights. Some of the wildest, most rugged and spectacular shoreline that I've ever witnessed. The towering cliffs at the western end provide nesting areas for many seabirds, as well as the perfect habitat for the California sea lion, the king of this domain. But we quickly got a hold of ourselves because the true goal of this expedition was now at hand, exploring the magnificent Painted Cave. So hang on, folks, it's about to get wet. Preparations were quickly made by the leader of the expedition, Mark Olson. Once I became familiar and comfortable with my kayak, I joined the rest of the group. Painted Cave is the largest and most awe-inspiring of all the caves on the islands. It is presently the world's largest recorded sea cave. The 130-foot high entrance leads to a wide passage which heads straight back for 600 feet. The ceiling lowering steadily to a point where it's only about 15 feet above water level. No lights are needed to this point. Beyond the low point, however, the cave opens into a dark inner chamber, some 200 feet long and 125 feet wide, and 40 to 50 feet high. two ledges at one end of the chamber house a large population of sea lions whose incessant barking may make communication in the cave difficult. Finally, we reach the back. Now it's just a matter of maneuvering around this tiny little island and out the other side to the way out. But the constant upwelling of the ocean makes this maneuver a little tricky. Wow. That's what you call taking one for the team. As we make our way out towards the light at the mouth of the cave, it's nice to see the familiar shape of the condor. I'm pretty well whipped. Well, that's this week's journal. It's about time I close this chapter. So guys, hang on, I'm with you there in a minute. See you next week. Here I come, guys. What do you mean, see you later? Hold on, I'm coming.